Nail-biter in Nagpur. What do we expect in Ranchi? Third ODI series on the line for Australia. They want to keep this alive, even though it's a bilateral series essentially where more things matter. Both teams would want to test out players. India are getting 1-1 box ticks slowly at a time. They're 2-0 up in the series. Looking ahead to that game, Brad Hodge and Hemang Badani join me on ESPNcricinfo Matchday. Hemang, India would be pretty happy. At what point do they start saying, yeah, we're 2-0 up, should we make changes now, or should we look to seal the series and then give guys a go in the last two?
First and foremost, I don't think India will be pretty happy. Yes, 2-0 up, but I think there are a few questions still being left to be answered. Yes, I will be making a few changes.
Why do you think there are questions? What are those questions? Is still middle order?
I get a feeling the middle order is an issue. Shikhar's form is an issue. We're still looking for the second keeper. We haven't sorted that out. We still haven't sorted the third opener. Are we looking at one?
Yeah.
And if we're looking at one, when do we get a go? When do we give him a go?
Okay, brilliant. So that's a lot of questions. So let's look at your 11 because you have answered them, and Hemang Badani would like to see some changes if he had to pick the 11 for this third ODI. All right, so even though he's out of form, you want Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit to get a rest, Rahul comes in, you want MS to get a rest, Rishabh Pant in his place, Bumrah for a rest, Bhuvneshwar Kumar we know is back with the squad now, and Yuzvendra Chahal in place of Kuldeep Yadav. All just rest to try out these guys, I'm assuming?
Absolutely. I mean, if you've got someone like a KL Rahul, you've got someone like a Rishabh Pant who you've got in the team for the simple reason that you want to give them a chance. You want to make sure that they get enough opportunities before you pick the World Cup side. And this is the right moment where you could actually get a KL Rahul to bat with a Rohit Sharma. Everyone knows Rohit is in pretty good form. Shikhar isn't in the best of forms right now. So I would rather have Shikhar playing than a Rohit Sharma. Give KL a go. KL has done reasonably well in the last couple of T20s that he's played. So I would say KL in for Rohit. Dhoni played enough. Yes, you would want to play Dhoni at Ranchi, play him at home. For all you know, it could be Dhoni's last game at Ranchi. You never know because after the World Cup, we don't know whether Dhoni wants to still continue playing ODI cricket. He still wants to
he never strikes
on the national side.
Though,
so we don't know. So it could probably be Dhoni's last game at home. That might be a reason that you may want to play him. But otherwise, I would feel that Dhoni also needs a break. You want to try Rishabh Pant, give him a chance to get some match practice. Also gives him a chance to put some runs on the board, see how he's behind the wickets.
That's going to bring that up because Pant, in the time that he's played, is invariably played as a fielder. He's not a great fielder, we know that. Even when Dhoni is rested, they give DK the gloves over Pant. Somewhere, even though Pant's not with the most of the opportunities with the bat, you'd want to keep a batsman playing as a keeper somewhere. It would just make him feel better about it.
The management has to first and foremost decide are they looking at the second keeper or not, because you have an option in a KL Rahul who can actually be a second keeper if you want that option, which gives you a chance to have another guy in the World Cup side. So he can also be the third opener, he can also be a backup wicket keeper. So that's something which the management has to be clear about, whether we do that or we actually looking for a proper keeper in a Pant or a DK. But if you're looking at that option, then you have to give someone a go. So unless you give someone a go, you never know whether DK is good enough or is it going to be Pant.
And that's something that Hemang would like to see happening in this third ODI itself, in spite of, like he rightly says, the sentiment that might tempt India to play MS
Dhoni. And if I may say, the reason why you're 2-0 up, you might as well give a go right now. In case you do lose one or you lose another one after that, you can always come back in the fifth ODI, bring back all your big guns. And 2-0 gives you the cushion to actually try out a few more players.
Brilliant. All right. Now, Hodgie's been listening patiently to this. Hodgie, there seem to be some questions that even Australia would like answered. Finch looked a little better in comparison to the form that he's had. But if I look at your 11s, you've actually not made a change. So you don't want to try out anything else. And you're sticking with the two-spin option then with Nathan Lyon and Adam Zampa bowling side by side yet again in this series. Thoughts on why you've gone with the same team?
Oh, I just think that our recipe's okay. That's probably the best side we can put out on the par. We got Jai Richardson and Berendorf on the bench. So he's probably the only one that I'd probably consider to bring in that side. But to make way would have to be Nathan Coulter-Nile, who's been pretty good, or Nathan Lyon. I think going to Ranchi, you have to play two spinners. So, that's why I've gone for that. I don't think it's actually our changing personnel which will affect anything. It's more execution, our ability to push on and turn 30s into 50s, turn 50s into 100s. I think that's the management that we need to do, not change personnel. Ashton Turner hasn't had a lot of experience over in India, so I think it's the best combination to get the job done. It's more about execution.
All right, one question I will ask you, similar to India where they're trying out these keeping options, they're not quite sure who's going to take the gloves at the World Cup outside of MS Dhoni. They want to give another guy a go. Peter Hanscom strikes me as a very handy keeper batsman, but and he got the gloves in the T20s. Now you've got him as a batter here. Alex Carey, how do you hold him? Is there a case for perhaps looking at Handscomb to take the gloves to open up another slot? Where do you stand on how Australia can try more things to get a know-how of what their players can do in the World Cup?
Yeah, I think the big question is what will happen in that position when Steve Smith and Warner come back into the side in time. Whether Carey holds his position at number 7 as a wicketkeeper batsman, or do you throw the gloves to, Peter Handscomb, who's probably our best player of spin. So that's probably why he's in there anyway. My thoughts that I think that Handscomb can certainly do a job. Having said that, though, Carey's played a couple of handy knocks down the order as well. So it's one of them catch-22s where they've both sort of been tried up the order and haven't been so successful. So that role later down the order is probably where they'll be. Which one? Carey's probably more manageable with the gloves, but I think Peter Handscomb himself is actually very talented with the gloves. So it's a catch-22.
Okay, one thing about Australia I've seen in 2 games, Hemang, 230 scrapping to 240, 250. It's not what we associate with Australia. Yes, Nagpur might have been a slightly tricky pitch, but do India back themselves that this middle order doesn't quite have that intimidation, that power that you'd ideally expect from Australian players? Have they got can they change that around looking into this third game? They would want to score heavy at a place like Ranchi.
I'm a little with what Brad mentioned about people going on to get a bigger score. We've got guys who've got about 30s, we've got guys about getting 40s, but you're playing a 50-over format. You need someone to actually stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to get 100 for your side. We've had starts, we've had guys who've got 30s, but that's okay when you're playing a T20 format, but if you're playing a 50-over format, someone like an Aaron Finch and Usman Khwaja got a 50 the first game, those are the guys who will have to actually kind of take it from there. A 50 isn't good enough. You can't be expecting your other guys who are coming in to keep chipping it every time. If you're in, you better be in, you better make it count and make it big.
Yep.
And if once they do that, then they'll start looking at a side who are a better side than what they are right now. But 230, 240 in today's cricket, ODI cricket is just not good enough.
And that's a good point. Would you have a slightly firm word or maybe a word of encouragement with the top order? 1 guy, 2 guys need to bat, then a Maxwell and a Stoinis, and their value can be amplified. Are they missing just that, Hodgie? 1 or 2 guys from the top order stepping up playing a big ODI innings?
Yeah, we are. There's no doubt. We haven't had any century makers really for a long, long time, apart from Sean Marsh, in the one-day series in Australia. So, look, it's a real testing time for us. We had, I think it was, 90 dots out of, 140 balls in the middle period. So there's some real struggle issues to be able to rotate the strike against spin. We know that our history has been blanketed with, problems against spin and the quality of the Indian spinners. So we need to find a way. And if you get yourself in, you have to take it deep and allow, the Maxwells. You talked about our power. We've got power in Maxwell, Stoinis, and also Finch is out of touch. But we have power there. It's just a matter of giving those guys with power an opportunity to try and catch in at the back end, but then unfortunately you come up against a pretty good candidate called Jasprit Bumrah, who's able to nullify that effect as well. So we just need to build a platform, get to sort of 200 with only 3 wickets down, and then push on from there for the last 10 to 12 overs.
And if you want to go back and see the last game, you've actually had a couple of guys right at the top getting 40s. You had a Khwaja at 40, you had a Aaron Finch getting a 40. We've seen Finch struggling with Bumrah, but he saw through that period. 80 for no loss. I got a feeling that you cannot lose a game chasing 250. That is where, as I keep mentioning, the guys who are in have to make it count. A 40 as an opener is just not good enough for me. Make that 40 into 100. And as Brady mentioned that they've just got Sean Marsh getting a few hundreds the last year, but haven't got anyone else getting hundreds. It's about time someone else steps up and says, I will get that 100.
Right. I think they'll be very happy with your 11 if Jasprit Bumrah is getting a rest. So let's see how that goes. Thank you, Hemang Badani. And thank you to Brad Hodge. Hodgie, we'll get your thoughts ahead of that game as well on ESPNcricinfo Match Day Live. Tune in for that. This was our preview for the third ODI between India and Australia on Friday at Ranchi.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.